Chris, to give you a quick demonstration with these are image cards used in memory techniques. Have a look at them. You'll see that there are lots of different images there, and when you're happy, give them a little mix as well.
Yep.
Going to try something out, not with memory. We're going to try something out using your two minds. Oh, it's a bit weird. Give them a little mix.
Yep.
Little mix. Little mix.
I'm not singing.
No, not singing. All right, okay. Here's what we're going to do. Harry, I'm going to ask you to just cut the cards in half for me. That's wonderful. And I'm going to give them another little mix together as well, so you can see that these really do mix up. And Chris, as I run my thumb down the cards, just say the word stop.
Stop.
Right there, we'll give the cards a cut right there. That'd be good. Chris, can I ask you to take 5 cards from the top where you've just decided? Wonderful.
5, yep, we've got 5.
Harry, if you could say the word stop anywhere you like.
Stop.
Like there.
Yep.
And you take 5 from where you said stop as well.
Yep.
And Chris, could you mix up your 5 cards? Harry, could you mix up your 5 cards? We don't need those anymore. And do you have pockets as well? Yeah, you got pockets?
Yep.
Good. Harry, got pockets?
I have indeed. Yeah.
What I'm going to ask you to do is I am going to ask you, Chris, to take out a card at random from your 5 and have a look at it, but make sure that neither I nor Harry can see it. Harry, you're going to do exactly the same thing with your 5 cards. Give me a little mix, take one out. Now, I promise you I'm not looking. Obviously, we're in a confined space here, but I promise you I'm not looking. Have a little look at your image, Harry, whichever one you like.
Yeah.
Yeah? And can you do me a favour? Can you give your card to Chris, your image, and Chris, you're going to give your image to Harry, but without looking at them. This creates a really, really interesting dynamic. Put them amongst your cards, Harry.
Yeah.
Put that amongst your your images, Chris, and again, mix them up. So here's the interesting dynamic. Harry, if you could place those images into your pocket now, in that mixed condition, into your trouser pocket.
Yep.
Now we have an interesting scenario, right? We have some genuinely random images. You mixed them up, you had a look at them.
Yep.
You said stop anywhere you like, you took 5 images. You said stop anywhere you like, you took 5 images. And then you both had a look at a random image amongst those 5 images. You swapped them over. So right now, Chris, you have Harry's image, but because you didn't look at any other of the other images, you wouldn't know which one that is, right?
Yep.
Equally the same here, right? Because you didn't look at the other images you had, so you don't know which one Chris is.
Yeah.
So you have it, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And you have his, but you don't know what his is.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have a look at these. Just visualize your image for me as best you can. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and you can lie or tell the truth. Do you know what this is?
Yes, I do.
Is it if it's a place? Have you been there? If it's a thing, do you own it? If it's a food, have you eaten it?
I'm just gonna say no on all of them.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I am going to hedge my bets with this one here. For the first time, what were you thinking of?
Statue of Liberty.
The Statue of Liberty is exactly
That
what
is
we have here.
Perfect.
Okay, so now the interesting thing is there is an image that Chris is thinking of, but you have it. Chris, just in your mind, visualize whatever it is you saw, whatever you ended up thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Just visualize it for me. Harry, reach into your pocket, take out one of those images and put it so it's image side down on the palm of my hand. And the next one. And bear in mind, I'm not asking Chris any questions about this. Next one. And the next one. There is just one image in your pocket. You mix these up.
Yeah.
You could have taken any images out. Chris could have thought of any image. Chris, for the very first time, what image were you thinking of?
There's a pair of shoes.
Pair of shoes. Harry, can you reach into your pocket, take out the last image, and show everyone that it is
Bosh.
the pair of shoes?
That is
Boom!
Bosh.
And that is the usual suspects. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you. Well done.
Well done, you. That's really
Brilliant.
nice.
Okay, this is a routine called the usual suspects.
Yeah.
And I performed this was with Harry and Chris. And this is hugely massive credit to one of our friends, actually, Doc Hilford.
Yeah.
He had an effect using, it was done with playing cards. I think Max Maven also on his Video Mind had something similar to this with
Yeah,
two
with
sets of ESP cards.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of on the back of those two legends and what they've created. The concept is very, very simple. If I have got Chris with 5 cards that I know ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
if he thinks of one of those cards and hands it to Harry, as happened in the performance, and Harry now hands Chris a card that he's thinking of, just by looking at Chris's hand, because I know those cards, I will
You'll
know
know what
what
one's
one's
missing.
missing and what one is now added.
Yeah.
That gives me all the information that I need. So just to sort of become a bit more in depth about that, you can remember any 5 cards that you like. I have got handcuff, feet, shoe, whip, and lips.
And these are just the ones you've memorised.
These
so,
are I've memorised these images.
Yeah.
There's strong images that I can kind of lock inside my head.
Okay.
And you can start with them on top of the pack and palm them off, or you don't even have to palm them off. You can shuffle the cards, and there's a lot of this sort of
Retain the
stuff.
top stack,
Retaining
yeah.
the top stock, however you like, if you do an in jog or whatever it is you want to do. But ultimately, you're going to know what those 5 cards are.
Mm-hmm.
Chris will get those 5 cards: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
So
I'll
you'll
take
be
those.
Chris, and now you can mix these up really fairly, and you can even ask that person to do that. I just sort of did sort of similar action with Harry, but I don't know what those 5 cards are.
Yeah.
So we have these 5 stranger cards.
Okay.
Okay. Both gentlemen can mix up their cards, and ultimately they are going to take out one and look at it. So you just grab one at random from yours. What we're going to go with?
I'm going to go with the lips.
Lips, and over here we have the 8 ball.
Mm-hmm.
So bearing in mind that no one knows that, but they get swapped over
Yeah.
and then mixed up again. And then those cards end up going in your pocket. But for the sake of this, these cards, you're now finished with the rest of the deck, but for those, keep those in shot, but
Yeah.
just there. They are now in your pocket,
Yeah.
imagine. So now all I've got to do is I now explain, and there's, if you watch the presentation for all the finer details, but there is a really nice dynamic, and that is both people have got each other's cards, but they don't know which one it is because they
Yeah.
didn't look at the other cards, which is
Yeah.
a really nice sort of dynamic. And that is not me, that's Doc Hilford sort of does that on his video from many, many moons ago. Now, all I have to do is take hold of Chris's cards,
Mhm.
look through, and I can see... sorry, I think we've got these mixed up, didn't we?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
there.
sorry. Yeah. So...
You want to get the stack you've memorised.
Yes.
That's the first one you're going to go for.
Yeah, sorry, because
Yeah.
normally I always have it on the person on the left. So now the cards that I remembered, I know that there is the whip. I remember that one. The shoe. I remember that one. The feet. I remember that one. The handcuffs. I remember that one. And then now I find this stranger card, and that is the 8 ball. So I know that the card from yours is the 8 ball.
Mhm.
I know this is the stranger one that we've got in.
So you know this card is this person's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now basically what happens now is we are in a position where I know the one that is missing from here is the lips, obviously, the one that I know. So now I can reveal this however I like, getting I think I asked a question, you don't have to, you can look at them and just visualize it for me. You can show them each one of the images, whatever presentational angle you want, you know the information already,
Yeah.
however you feel best. And then now you can place it down, and then you now know you've got this as a reveal for the 8 ball.
Yep.
So that's the end to that section.
But now you also know what you're looking for in here.
I know that the lips are over there. That's the one that's missing. So I know that that's this person's here. So now I'm in a position where I can say to you, you've mixed them up, reach inside your pocket and take out a card.
Okay.
Now this, in the performance, there are 2 endings.
There's 3 endings.
There are 2 endings that are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So the first ending, which is great, is they reach into their pocket and they pull out the lips.
Boom.
Right? And this is pure by chance. This is 1 in 5. If you take that card back and you see it's the lips, and you just have a little look yourself, you say, now think about this. Now you recap. Always emphasize the impossible. So you now recap. You both chose 5 random cards, you mixed them up, you had no idea, you mixed them up, you put them in your pocket, you did this blindly, you got no idea what Chris is thinking of, and you took out this one card. Chris, for the very first time, what were you thinking of? Chris says lips, turns it round, you have a minor miracle. But it's a really, really beautifully strong moment. It's actually stronger than when you did it, which is always nice, because they're kind of getting the credit. In the performance, that card ended up being the last one. And again, so all that happens is, in that case, Peter handed me this one, I'll take a look at it, I go, right, and the next one, and another one, and another one, and then we ended up, as in the performance, there's 1 left in your pocket. Now remember, check it out, lips, right?
Yeah.
And that's the ending. Now the other ending, which is, it's the least favourable, but it's still a really strong. You're still going to finish the effect, which is ultimately really important. You want to be able to finish. So we'll do that now. So I'd say, Peter, can you reach in your pocket and take out any one of those images? And I say, right, and the next one. Okay. And the next one. And then now I get the lips on this one. So now I don't stop there. You can stop and kind of do this whole thing of I think it's amongst these, and you can do that if you want, or you can carry on. I normally just carry on and take them all back. And I say, and finally the last one. And now you're just going to go one of these 5 images. Now, I jazz a lot, and the gallery deck enables you to jazz a lot. You know it's the lips, so you can just finish off by going, I think this one, and then now it's the lips, and you've got the ending. That is the ending, and everyone's happy. Everyone goes home. If you wanted to. And I've never done this, but just thinking out loud, you could kind of take the cards and go, it's one of these. But you know what? I'm really interested to see whether or not you could do this. So now I can get a little finger break underneath that bottom card. And I say, look, I'm just going to move the images around. And it looks like I'm sort of dealing them off and moving them around. But I'm just slipping it underneath that card there. So it goes underneath. Is that clear? Is that clear?
It's going in, so it's going between their
can you get an overhead, Chris,
pad.
on that? Yeah, so if I do that. So the idea is, the illusion is that the card is going round and underneath the packet. But what the reality is I'm just going to get a little finger break underneath it, like that.
Yeah.
And that's an exposed view, obviously, and I'm dealing that card around and then just putting it in between. So you keep on doing that until eventually they say stop. And when they say stop, you say, look, we'll stop right there. What was the image? And then it's the lips, and then you've got the lips there. So then you'd finish like that.
Yeah,
so that's another way of finishing it. But ultimately, that's the effect. It probably sounds more complicated than it actually is. But if you just get 5 images in mind.
There's a few things I'd like to just throw in there as well, because it is a great effect, and because of the way you're doing it, and they're not looking at the other faces, they're taking one at random. There's 2 things you could do. You could take advantage of the markings on the back. So the way you would do that is split your cards into black and white and colour. So you put 13 black and white on top, 13 black and white on the bottom, and in between them you've got all the colour. So you say, now you're going to choose 5 cards. We want them from somewhere in the middle of the deck. So cut the deck roughly in half. They're going to cut roughly in half. Get them to complete the cut. And now you can deal them the top 5 cards. So they're going to have all the black and whites. But because you've done the cut and completed the cut, now the colours are in the centre. We're going to do the same for you. cut roughly in the middle, and wherever you cut, that's where we'll deal. Now these are going to have, one of them's going to have the 5 colour, one of them's going to have the 5 black and white. And now when they're switched, you can take these cards back. Now whether you want to look for them, look through them or not is up to you, because you can now do this. Boom. Okay, I'm getting a feeling over. Yeah, it's definitely that one. In fact, reach into your pocket. Can you bring out a card? Now, without even looking, I know what that card is.
Yeah.
So that would just save you memorising. And the other thing, because of the clever thing Mark's built into here, without memorising, the 5 cards you give to one could be the soft objects, and the 5 to the other, the hard objects. And then you're done, and then all you're looking for is the hard object or soft object that's coming out of his pocket.
Absolutely.
So they're just ways to get around it without having to memorise. But Mark's way, the original way, is great because you're just memorising 5 cards and they're the ones you use.
Yeah, I should point out the way that I've done it, the original version, that was before I started doing that routine before I incorporated the hard and soft and the marks.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Obviously, you can make your life way easier.
Yeah,
and
but
just, But,
the thing is, the difference is with this one, you've got to have a setup and everything else, whereas yours you don't. Really.
Well, there is a
You just
little
run
bit of a setup
Yeah.
because you've got to get the 5 cards, but. Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, there's another routine on here called The Sound of Silence, where you actually end up with the deck divided at the end. Now, obviously, you could go into an Out of This World, you'll see that routine, but equally, you could go straight into this.
But that's what I'm liking about this, because the more we've discussed this for years, we've discussed routines for years, but we're always discussing singular routines. It's like, oh, I've done this with it, or I've done this with it, and we build on those. Actually sitting down and filming all this, we're now starting to go, actually, this would follow on nicely from that, this would follow on nicely. I mean, these are, whenever you say, you've got a 15, 20-minute act, you literally have, if you wanted to do a 20-minute parlour act or close-up set, just using these, there's enough varied material that we're going to be teaching you that you can put together a fantastic, phenomenal act just using these cards.
I think, when you think about people, just sort of tail ending on to what you've just said there, when you look at people like Paul Vigil, Ricky Jay, and also like Doc Hilford as well, who's real sort of exponent of using cards in mentalism, they will do a card act that is, Ricky Jay's 52 Assistants is, and that was a 90-minute show with a deck of cards. Yeah. But phenomenal.
Very, very good.
But, yeah, absolutely. So you can use those principles, and we'll probably actually get a little performance in there of Peter doing that version. We'll get him to do it on Harry and Chris, or Harry and Dave, or Chris and Dave, or something like that a bit later on, because I think that's be really good for the guys to see that performed.
Cool.
Lovely.